Shiv, pleasure to be with you here today. Let me start by complimenting your socks. I like very much. I'm a big fan of funny socks and beautiful
Thank
socks,
you.
colorful socks.
It's a good touch of color.
Very nice, very nice. I like it.
Thank you.
Anyway, jokes aside, as I was saying, we're just having a lot of conversation here at the event and very rich discussions, and a lot of things have been said about capital markets, office markets, and everything else. And I want to talk to that with you. But before we go that was a bit hBits a bit. What do you guys do? How do
Yeah.
you help the market?
Absolutely. So hBits is a real estate fractional ownership platform. It's actually a relatively new concept in India and in fact globally as well. I think in the US these companies picked up in 2014 odd. In India we started about 4 to 5 years ago. So basically the concept, and in fact our larger vision, to put it simply, is to create the stock market of real estate. Right? Like, why can't you own a share in the office building like one can own a stock in, say, a Google or an Apple? That's the vision. And if you look at India specifically, these asset classes have been limited to either a few of the large funds or large ultra HNI investors. These are very attractive asset classes to own. You get 8 to 9% rental yield. Along with appreciation, you can make 15% IRR, long-term contracts with multinational corporates, and minimum downside risk because you're owning a hard asset in great commercial districts. So, and it's completely tech-enabled what we do. So the whole investment process is completely online. So great from an investor angle, and from a developer angle, it just opens up the universe of capital and liquidity to the investor base they can sell their asset to.
Very interesting. So would you say that in your case, that technology is really changing the game for real estate? You are one example of how technology can really push this to a faster pace of change and opportunities for investors.
For investors, yeah, and for developers, 100%. I think technology is completely changing the game in multiple angles, right? Because in what we are doing, for instance, from a developer perspective, if you had, just throwing numbers, if you had 10 buyers, now you have 1,000 buyers. So your ability to exit your asset quickly when you need to, and put your capital in a new project which you're waiting to bid on that land, just becomes much more quicker. From an investor perspective, they get a product that's a hybrid of equity and debt. You know, it's a safe product. You get monthly income and you get appreciation. And from their perspective, investing in real estate was so challenging, so difficult, and so opaque. So much information asymmetry. You didn't know what price is the right price to pay. We provide all of that on our dashboard, and it's completely transparent. We actually provide the leave and license agreement, the title report, all on our dashboard, photos, video walkthrough. So transparency enabled by technology is changing the game.
Fantastic. Domestic capital. How is the appetite for domestic capital for commercial real estate, for offices, compared with foreign capital? Do you see, is it the same? Do you see more appetite domestically? How do you see the game?
Yeah, I think they're both relatively strong, and they both have their, different dynamics. So domestic capital didn't have access to commercial real estate 3 years ago. Now in the last, or 3-4 years ago, in the last 4 years, you've had 3 office REITs and 1 retail REIT that's come up in India. And then you had a few fractional ownership platforms. Now what's that doing? And the reason why it's a very interesting asset class is, if you look at just the stats, in India, you have 85,000 crore rupees invested in real estate that's not your primary residence. But these are all second apartments. To give some other stats, 46,000 is in mutual funds. So real estate has always been higher. But it's been individual investments, buying an apartment, buying a gala, where your yields have been 2 to 3%. And you have the headache of managing the property. Here it's completely, and your tenants are not as good. Here now you can invest 8 to 9% rental yield. You don't need to manage the property. There's someone professional managing it for you. You get between equity and debt returns. And your tenants are, I don't know, one of our tenants is ICICI Bank. So, great tenants. So that's on domestic capital. And India economy is just growing. So there's more and more domestic capital that needs to be saved and invested. In terms of foreign capital, obviously foreigners have a vast variety of assets they can invest in. They have the whole world and the whole universe. But I think the advantage over there is just India as a destination. And if you look at office, there are more offices or square feet of offices in Manhattan than compared to the whole of India. So if you take into account the economy growth in India, the consumption story in India, you're just going to need more offices. There's no question. There's a debate about return to office, work from home. In India, anyways, it's majority return to office. But even if you factor some amount work from office, just overall young population, economy growth in India is just going to drive the requirement for further and further offices.
Final question. We're having a good year here in India. 2023, very positive year. Do you see 2024 different? Do you think it's going to be the same, better, or worse?
I think 2024 is going to be positive in a lot of different ways. I think there was still a COVID hangover in the beginning of 2023. COVID hangover. Like people are still scared as to, what's going to play out. I think that fear is eliminated. I think we reached the peak of the interest rate cycle. So interest rate cuts might start coming at the end of this year or early next year, which just propels the economy. I think in India, you've realized that the domestic companies are returning back to office in a very significantly strong way. And I think globally, we're going to see that, at least for, the Indian market, that they're going to move back to office. So very positive in 2024 as well.
Perfect. Shiv, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Great being here. Thank you.